I'm Bo Santavan.
I'm Om Shah.
And we're Aggies Talk Tech. Today we're here with Hannah Bang.
Wait guys, we gotta restart. I looked at the wrong camera.
My bad. Wait, do I look
Alright, I'm Bo Santavan.
My name is Om Shah.
And we're Aggies Talk Tech. Today we're here with Hannah Bang. She's majoring in MIS, has a minor in music technology and cybersecurity. She's a previous intern at Warner Bros. And a member of Aggies in Tech Cohort 0.
She also has a lot of projects in her repertoire. Some like GnoMe, another called Beauties. So we will be talking about that as well. So let's get started.
So Hannah, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, personal interests, just things of that nature?
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Dallas, Texas. I was originally born in South Korea, but I moved here when I was around like age 10. And I stayed in Dallas ever since. Now I'm here in College Station studying MIS, like y'all mentioned. I actually came into college not really knowing where I wanted to be. I was like a huge music kid. I was going out to all these like performance competitions in high school. And I thought that was what I wanted to do, but I switched into business in my freshman year and I thought I was gonna go nowhere with it. But I knew I had like a knack for problem solving. So I first pivoted into consulting at first. And then while I was doing consulting and with all the case competitions, I realized I wanted to be in tech. And I got accepted into the Aggies in Tech program and went through all that whole process. I'm sure we'll get to later. But yeah, now I'm here and I'm really grateful to be a part of this huge podcast. And outside of that, I'm involved in Asian President's Council with Bo. It's amazing. And I'm also a part of product management organization at A&M. And yeah, if you guys are interested, please join.
A subtle plug.
A subtle plug.
Okay, well, so what drew you to business specifically? Because the knack for technology and problem solving often aligns with engineering.
Okay.
Did you ever consider that?
Yeah, actually the knack for problem solving and tech, I think it comes from anywhere. It doesn't really have to be engineering specifically. I think when I was going through all the case competitions with my friends, we had to come up with solutions for companies, and I think that kind of got me really excited. I think since in my young age, I loved coming up with something in the spot or taking on like a huge exciting project that I'm really passionate about. So anything in that sorts of realm, I think always excited me. And when I was in music, I was also in marching band, and that was a lot of like project execution, problem solving, leadership. And when I like got down on my desk during my junior year to do my college application, I was like, okay, like what can I actually like take from my music skills into like realistic college majors? And I thought business was like the path that I could take based on those soft skills that I got.
Right.
So.
What were some of the skills you developed throughout marching band and just throughout high school that helped you other than like problem solving and
I would say a big part is analytical skills. I thought math classes were like I really enjoyed music classes. It was one of those things like that did not give me anxiety, and I had a lot of fun to be in. And I think math class was like around the same way, like it affected me. I was very comfortable. I loved working with numbers, and I think the whole problem solving came with that too. And then the whole thought of working with numbers to solve problems and like all the calculations was kind of like, I mean, I guess I processed it like subconsciously, but I didn't know that was like my forte at that time. And I think communication skills and leadership skills are also huge. I started a club in high school. I was I had a leadership position in the marching band. So that required working with like different personalities, different priorities, and making sure that a task that I wanted to like, deliver gets delivered. So I think those were like my major things in high school. Honestly, I can't really remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So what would you say were specific. So you said you were president of the leadership position in marching band.
Mhm.
Do you think roles like that help you make you stand out on a resume, or just in the current job market? What roles what experiences do you think help you?
So like how like in my high school resume and how that helped the job market or like
Honestly,
my
probably more towards college.
College, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. College I feel like it's a different
Entirely,
part.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say like I would say from my resume you can see that I am very creative and analytical at the same time. I was exercising both skills through like competitions, like I said, but also like the hackathons, ideathons, and then some leadership positions from Asian Presidents Council, and I got a few recognitions from that. And when you see my action points on my resume, it says like I helped push out like a huge festival, and that's like university wide, and that's like something that's creative, but you also need the project management skills to get done. And I would say I have a few like winning like recognitions from like case competitions and the Power BI competition, and those are like some of the things that like you come across and doesn't really seem that big, but you just have to do it anyway. And some of it was like recommended by my professors. But yeah, I would say I've heard from like other people. This is not really from me, but I got like a comment from my resume that I have a very unique background in business. It's not very like typical thing that you would see in like a consultant's resume. It's very like a unique blend of those skills.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any experiences in Aggies Tech that have helped you?
Yeah. I would say Aggies in Tech is definitely one of like the changing points of my life, like turning points of my
Mhm.
life, because you're placed in this setting with really, really highly motivated peers, and you're forced to take classes with them for the entire semester.
Mhm.
And I mean, who would have thought what was gonna happen? But you put all these really like intelligent people together, and the product that comes out from it is like unbelievable. And I learned so much from my peers. Like seeing how hard they work or like the way their minds work kind of like inspired me to like take on initiatives on my own. And that program also pushed you to have a lot of conversations with tech professionals, people in the industry, and I think when you continue to have that conversation, you kind of catch on to what's hot on the market right now, or what gets their heads turning, and that really helps you when it comes to like interviews or like networking. Building that interpersonal skill to build those personal connections, for networking especially, I think was very crucial. I was not like a huge like networking gal from the start. The whole like LinkedIn thing gave me like so much anxiety.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It
sure.
feels so unnatural at times, right? Just
Yeah.
messaging people out of the blue, like, "Hey, I would like a reference," or just making. I feel like sometimes I get anxiety when connecting to people on LinkedIn, just because it just feels so artificial and just
Yeah.
not genuine. But
Mhm.
so what would you say is, for people who feel like that? What would you what advice would you give?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like the reason why I was staying away from LinkedIn was because of that whole like it's inauthentic. It comes
Yeah.
off as like you want something from them.
Mhm.
But actually, like the whole program in Aggies Tech kind of made me switch my mindset of like you're using LinkedIn not to get like referrals or connections. You're using it to learn about other people and their professions. So if you kind of like switch your brain into
Mindset,
thinking
yeah.
Right,
that
it's just your
way,
mindset.
yeah, and take it more positively, because like really, like I mean, Instagram and Twitter, yeah, sure, you have those, but what other platform can you really take advantage of to just like learn about other people and other professions in the world?
Yeah.
So I would say if you take it as that, and then when you send a connection or you have like a coffee chat with these people, you're trying to learn more about them and just kind of like be in that studious, like passionate attitude, and you display it to them. they would take it positively, and then hopefully you will, maintain that relationship enough to get a referral in the end. But that is not the end goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Just want to take a note how like articulate Hannah is.
Yes. Your communication skills are amazing.
Definitely.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
But just to reel it back a little bit, for those people who don't know what Aggies in Tech is, speaking of
Right.
is
I'm a member of Aggies in Tech.
cohort
I'm a
one?
cohort 1 member.
Woohoo.
Yes. Yeah. Like it is a great experience. Yeah. And I think it just comes down to like within Aggies in Tech, the people you are surrounded by influence you in a positive way as well. Right. It's I think that's that quote, right? You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself by.
Yeah.
And I think Aggies in Tech really helps with that as a whole, because you meet all these ambitious people with such high goals, and it's like, wow, I want to be like them. I want to excel. I want to excel in my career. I want to see what tech has to offer as a whole. And that's how I met so many amazing people. Like behind the camera, we have Annie and Adi. They're both also in
Shout out.
Aggies in Tech.
Yeah.
Shout out. Hey guys. They both are amazing. Annie is the most passionate person I know, right? Her ambition for just video editing and just UX and UI is amazing. And she's so skilled and talented. Same with Adi. Adi is the most go-getter person I know, right? He'll be like, okay, this is cool, let's do this. And he will devote himself 100% to it. And
This is really funny, given how much Annie and quarrel.
we don't
But-
quarrel. We don't quarrel. I've known Annie since middle school, so
That's so funny.
yeah.
But I'm unfortunately not in Aggies in Tech. It's a really amazing program. So
Yes.
could y'all describe it for those people that don't know?
Yeah, I think described it pretty well, but it's like a selective cohort. I believe it's just business majors for cohort 0. That's what we started off as, but now it's open for business, engineering, and I believe visualization majors too.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the upcoming cohorts, it's open to, I think, almost all majors. Because I'm pretty sure we have a biology major. We have,
Oh, okay.
it's just anyone who wants to get into tech.
That makes sense because tech is such a wide
100%.
range. There's so many industries that can utilize tech. So so it's a growing cohort. But essentially, you would take classes that are specifically business technology based. So instead of taking like a marketing class, for example, you would take marketing in tech environment class. Or instead of a supply chain class, you would take a class called emerging technology, which was what I did with Professor Heim. Shout out.
Shout out.
That really helps you learn more about the industry in specific. Instead of just how business works, it's like business technology. And I think that class, of course, a highlight of it is the trip that you take at the end of the spring semester. I think you just fly out to the West Coast, and you get to go to all these like really amazing companies, talk to amazing people, and kind of surround yourself with that Aggie Tech network. And yeah, I think that's like a very high like overall view of the program. There's a lot more details that go into it, but you can add up more onto
Right.
it if you want. But
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for the trip. We're going to be taking it this upcoming May. But so within Aggies in Tech, one of the things we do is we develop a go-to-market strategy for an app, and then semester after, we build the app, right, using Swift and Figma and just for all that. So you built an app called GnoMe, correct?
yes,
Yeah.
I did.
So could you tell us more about the experience and about that experience as a whole?
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but for us, they just went like, okay, form a group and make an app. And we were like, okay. And so it was kind of chaotic. Honestly, we were just like scrambling around, and I think they gave us a deadline. They're like, oh, like form a group and get an idea by this date. And no one was really taking action upon it. People were like calling each other and talking, but it wasn't really forming.
Yeah.
I think I was supposed to be in like a group with like Jackson and Colin, and then they just dropped out last minute. And I was like, okay. So like the day was like it was a decision day. And our cohort was like just talking amongst ourselves outside of the classroom. And then like people just happened to like ask me like, hey, do you just want to join my group? And I was like, okay, sure. We don't know what the idea is, but we'll do it
we'll
something.
figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Mhm.
And so we were all just brainstorming for that class because we had to, I remember this, we had to submit our creative brief for the like our Figma design by the end of that class. And oh my God, it was so stressful. Like the timer was ticking. It was me, Nasa, Colin, and Jacob. And we were just all like talking to ourselves, like, what's happening? What do we do? I think Nasa said she wanted to make an app that was like impactful, that could go viral, like a social media. I wanted to make an app that was really meaningful and it kind of helps with like self-development. And I don't know what Jacob said. Like we were just all tossing ideas around each other. And then Nasa talked about Be Real and how it's like easy to catch on to and it went viral. And so I was like, hey, like what if we do something that's related to Be Real, but you know, you have your own personality in it. You can use it to reflect on yourself. And then Jacob was like, oh, how about like it asks you a question a day? And then we were like, boom. And then we just kept like going on and on. And that like moment was like such a huge moment for me. I think it was like the most excited I've been ever because I started like drawing stuff on the whiteboard. We were like going out. And I think everyone else was just kind of like, what's happening? Like you guys are kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But we had this like synergy like coming up of each other, and we were like, okay, like how about we like what's like a name for this app? And then I was like, let's put this into ChatGPT. And we could not think of any ideas. Like it was so bad that I was like, okay, come up with like list of ideas for an app that like asks you a question a day and you can like build your personal profile. And then one of the options was GnoMe, but with a K, NOW. And then I was like, what if we don't do this, but we say like gnome instead of a no? And I think like that, and my teammates really liked it. And then I started drawing like the gnome logo on the whiteboard. And it was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, but that's how the app got started. But it's like it's our take on social media. We're trying to model off of Be Real, but instead of letting you post like a picture a day, it asks you a question a day that really makes you reflect on yourself. And that question pile is gonna like, pile up, and then you have like your own reflection. You could also like guess like what like if your friend replies to a question, it wouldn't say like who it is. So you would have to guess like which friend made which response.
That
So
is
I thought
so
that was
cool.
pretty
So
cool.
Is
Yeah.
it live?
No. On that,
Okay.
we're taking a break.
Okay.
It's on pause right now. It's in the works. We're trying to figure some things out. I can talk more about it later, but there was something that gave us like a huge like pushback. So we're trying to like figure that out right now. But
Is there a release date?
it was supposed to be last semester.
Okay.
But things happen, and
100%.
startup is a startup.
A startup is a startup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You're making an app currently.
We're currently making an app right now. I'm developing an app called Link, which is me and Audie are both on the team. But what Link is, it's basically a social networking app that allows you to plan spontaneous last minute gatherings at literally the touch of a button. So let's say, for example, you just got out of class, right? And you don't have any plans for dinner or for lunch, but you want to hang out with friends. So traditionally, you'd probably text a group chat, but with that comes like the anxiety of people not responding or everyone being busy. Well, that's where Link comes in. So it's LYNK, by the way, just so we're like, super cool and techie.
It's like you just
cool and
misspell something and then
Yeah,
it becomes
basically,
like the
it
name of
becomes
the app.
right. Yeah, like lift, like with a Y. Yeah,
There you go.
Does the Y serve like any purpose? Or
absolutely none.
Just for the aesthetics?
It's more like why, like it gets like deep philosophical. I don't know, I made it up. Anyway, so that's when you would use Link. With Link, you can basically, with the touch of a button, you can add friends, and you just send out a mass notification to all of your friends saying, hey, I will be at Whataburger at 12 o'clock, and people have the ability to RSVP or not. It's very low commitment. It's like spontaneous, and it just allows you to. It's very convenient and based on everyone's own schedules. So if you are available, and it's also a great way to like catch up with old friends and also meet new friends. Because let's say all three of us don't know each other, right? Bo sends out a link saying, hey, I'll be at blank at this time studying. I respond to your link. Hannah responds to your link. Now all three of us are meeting for the first time. I'm meeting Hannah for the first time, and we're all studying together. So it's just a great way to just boost the network. Like it makes the social world into a real thing, and at the same time, it makes us go out more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good take on social media and like what social media should be.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
more like real world interaction.
100%. Yeah.
Making connections, but it having a purpose, not
Mhm.
just being a stranger online.
Yeah.
Because I'll have that a lot where I'll like follow somebody online.
Mhm.
I've never met them in my life.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't
yeah.
know who they are.
No idea who this person is.
And it gives us that opportunity to
Yeah, for
go
sure.
grab lunch. And
Go
get to
grab
know
lunch,
each
get to know
other.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we're our target audience is like college students, right, or within urban areas. So you have lots of friends. It's all within a close area, so
Right.
it's easy to meet up. And also, just I think a big part of networking, especially in business and I guess engineering as well,
Mhm.
is your network. That very much defines your success and just the way what you get. That's an integral part of the college experience. So
Yeah.
just getting to know people as a whole and have just make fun memories, right?
Mhm.
Like it'll be a random conversation, but it'll be something you can look back on. That adds so much value to you as a person and just within everything. Sorry,
Yeah.
I lost track of my train of
No,
thought.
no, you're fine. I want to
Yeah.
ask both of y'all though, like, what kind of technologies go into making an app as a collegiate student? A college student.
College student.
Collegiate.
Yeah.
Collegiate student.
I would say, well, we used Swift, because this app was built as part of our class project. So it went with our Swift coding class. And then we would use Firebase for like the data part of it, and storing it on the cloud. And then I think Figma for prototyping, wireframing. I would say pretty much that's pretty much it. I feel like there should be more, but I'm not thinking of it. Those are like the main things that we used.
We're
For
still
sure.
developing the app at the moment, so
So figure that part
we'll
out.
figure that part out right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting though, because I'm sure you didn't have much experience with those
No.
technologies going into
Mhm.
it. So
Not
are
at
you
all.
learning on the fly?
Basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
But I think that's like the best way to learn anything. You just
Mhm.
gotta like put yourself in there and teach yourself. Yeah, instead of letting someone else like lecture everything for you. I think that's just a more effective way. At least
Yeah.
for me, it is.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just more hands-on learning.
So Aggies and Tech is giving you a project to build an app
Yeah.
with very little previous experience. And
Yeah.
it's a year timeline?
For you guys, it was 6 months, right?
Yeah, it
It was
was.
one
A
semester.
6
It
month
was that
timeline
semester.
to essentially make a startup.
For an MVP, like
Yeah.
like our final deliverable was an MVP, which like even that was so hard to build in 6 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if they told us to build like an entire app like that, I don't think that would have ever happened. But-
Right. no,
You were
it's-
saying this was like very little instruction and guidance.
No, this was I think like there was like checkpoints along the way, and like the marketing class went with the marketing plan with the app, and then the coding class was obviously the coding part of the app. So like it all kind of like worked together, and like our assignments were directly related to our app. So it allowed us to
have benchmarks.
have benchmarks and track it along the way. So I don't think it was like no guidance at all.
Okay.
But in terms of like figuring out how this goes, like GitHub was one of those
GitHub's
platforms
big.
because it was so hard for us to learn, and
Mhm.
there
Yeah.
was
I can
no
relate to that.
and we were all trying to figure out like how it works, and it was just so hard. But I think the beauty of that was we started to like have our own experimentation with it and then teach each other, and I really liked that aspect of it. So I think it worked out fine. It wasn't like like they take your hand and guide you every step of the way kind
It
of
was just, like,
thing.
just enough.
Yeah, but I think it was enough for us to like learn ourselves. Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, so the way we're doing it right now is it's split up. Last semester we did all the marketing for the app, and we were placed into teams of they just like made us fill out a form, and they sort of just put us into teams together. And it's been pretty great. But we did all the marketing and stuff before in the last semester, and then this semester we're doing all the coding portion of it. So we currently have a plan. We're also touching in more on the marketing, how we're going to reach out, who our target audience is, how we're going to get revenue. All that stuff is also part of the coding aspect, just because you need to know what your product is, like flesh it out. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a more like there's like
It's just very
one
much,
after the
yeah.
other kind of process instead of doing it all at once.
All at once, yes,
Yeah.
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 So throughout Aggies and Tech, how was the trip to the West Coast?
Oh, when did you go? Yeah.
I went in May, first week of I think. Like the week of finals. We actually
That's
didn't have finals,
insane.
which is kind of
That is
crazy.
insane.
This was the end of
Yeah.
your sophomore year, or
Yeah, it was end of
Okay.
my sophomore year. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like in the beginning, first few weeks of May, I think. I think it was I forgot how many days, like 13 days? Almost 1 to 2
Yeah.
weeks between that. And it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Honestly, like it was like one of the best times like of my best field trip of my life, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, Silicon
100%.
Valley.
Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
Seattle, all of that. Pretty fun field trip.
Yeah. San Francisco first, and then we went to Seattle. Those are really both like huge tech hubs. And I just remember like going to like all these companies and talking to all these people, and I'm just like, I cannot believe that I'm here right now.
Yes.
Also, I had like 2 hours of sleep, so like.
Why'd you have 2 hours of sleep?
Good question.
Okay.
Well, graduation was like
Oh my
right
gosh.
before
Yeah.
I departed.
Oh.
Yeah, so after graduation, which ended around like 7 or 8, I think, or even 9, I think. I came back and I was packing my suitcase, and I think the flight was at like 5 a.m., so I had to leave at like 3 a.m. So I barely got sleep then. And I think throughout the entire day, like our itinerary was pretty full. So when I went to bed, I was like exhausted, but then we had to wake up at like 7 the next day. So yeah, I think it was a lot. But also that really kept me on my toes, and yeah, it made the experience a lot more surreal.
Right.
Could you explain? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So as you're like extremely accomplished, right? You like very much. Yes, you are. And do you ever get like a feeling of like imposter syndrome or like, wow, how am I here? You know, especially with Aggies and Tech and all the crazy stuff we do. And if you do, how do you like deal with that?
I definitely think like imposter syndrome is like it's inevitable wherever you go, because
Yes.
I mean, let's be realistic here, like there's always going to be someone better than you. But I think for me, I didn't struggle with imposter syndrome that much with Aggies and Tech, because I was so excited to meet my cohorts.
Yes.
And they're all just like really incredible people, and when you kind of have this attitude of like what can I learn from them, instead of like comparing myself to them, it actually like gets you to think in a really healthy way and build that connection better. And I think like imposter syndrome in terms of when I went to the West Coast and I'm like in the room with a bunch of billionaires, like I'm like,
Yes,
what am I
yeah.
doing here?
Uh-huh.
And I think for that you just have to be confident in yourself and think about what you can bring to the table, because obviously like billionaires, like they know so much and they know a lot, but there's going to be something that they don't know that you know.
Yeah.
And even if they do already know, if you're passionate about it, you just have to speak up in order to keep the conversation going. So yeah, but it comes from like self-confidence, but also like your willingness to learn.
I definitely feel this way a lot.
Same.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Elaborate. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I think just a lot of I think I felt like a lot of imposter syndrome when I found out I got into Aggies and Tech, just because whenever we met cohort 0, when we met you guys were like crazy accomplished. Like all of you were. No, I'm so serious. Like me and a few of my friends, we all
He
felt
talks
like
about it a lot.
Really?
it's like,
Yeah.
wow, there's no way we're doing all this stuff with like, because like cohort 0, you guys are absolutely cracked. And sometimes I just feel like, wow, how am I here right now, right? Like, and it's also been really great to have people from your cohort just sort of as like mentors as well. Like shout out Jackson, shout out Jacob, you guys are the goats. But yeah, no, it's been a really cool experience just getting to know so much about tech, and also just meeting amazing people like David and Akshaya. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're right. They are cracked, but that's like different from like being a good person, you know? So if you like approach them as a friend, then like I think it helps kind of eliminate that like, oh, they're actually like a bunch of geniuses in a way. And that's kind of like what helped me like break down the barriers. And when you start working with these people, like my GnoMe team, like I was like, how am I gonna be in this team? Like I don't think I can tell them to do anything. But once you start working with them, then you'll start to find there's like weaknesses in all of us. So there's things that we're good at and things that we're not so good at. And yeah, and that's why we're a team, and we're here to cover each other's weaknesses. So I mean, like once you start knowing that and then knowing, your value and your contribution to the team, then it's going to help with the imposter syndrome for sure.
Definitely. To add on to a little bit to that, I can't relate to a lot of y'all's experiences. I'm not in Aggies and Tech.
That's
But
fine.
I know in a lot of spaces that I've been in, especially coming into APC, Asian
Mhm.
President's Council, for those of y'all that don't know,
Hmm.
I was so scared. I was
Oh.
absolutely terrified. Meeting you, Faro, the whole team,
Hmm.
because I remember y'all gave me a call. I didn't think I was gonna get the position at all after I was interviewed. I was like, no shot. And then y'all gave me a call, and then I think it was you who said it, and you said,
okay, yeah.
unfortunately, we aren't able to offer you the position because I applied for, I think, programming. But we created a new position called Director of Member Relations.
We did.
And I was so excited. And this just ties back to what Hannah said. You just have to know your worth.
Mhm.
My professor said the other day, everyone's smart, and he bangs on his chest. He goes, but it's about gumption and it's about your heart
Okay.
and knowing what you want to do, where you want to go, how you can contribute
Yeah.
to your team.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I told you the backstory, but I advocated for Bo. Like after that
Are you
interview,
serious?
yeah, on my call with Faro and Shreya, I was like, oh my gosh, we need this guy in our team. Like, and they were like, yeah, he's great, but I don't know if he's like programming. I don't know like where he fits. And I'm like, I'll make a new position for him. We need him in my team. And that's what we did. So like, and I think what Bo did really well, like in his interview, was like he really showcased his passion for Asian Presidents Council and like where his motives are. And you even like brought up the fact that like your unique background, right? Your heritage, and you want to like make sure those people are also included, making sure all minority voices are heard. And I'm like, that's exactly what we need. So, that was such an easy decision for us. But yeah, like I hope you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So you have a lot of experience working on teams. With GnoMe and also with case competitions.
Mhm.
So what got you into the case competition space, and what are some things you learned that helped you in your career?
Yeah, I think case competitions were like such a great like learning moments for me, even more than like my classes, to be honest. First one was like fall semester of my freshman year. It was a disaster. Like I didn't know anything. My team didn't know anything. I just got people from my business class and then some people from my dorm, and that was basically it. But we just like threw ourselves in there, and we learned like so many like business buzzwords. Like we didn't know what omni-channel strategy was until then. We didn't really know like what everything was, or like
What's omnichannel strategy?
Yeah, for the viewers
Yeah.
that don't know what that is, could you explain?
Yeah. So it's basically a way to like when you sell a product, there's a way to do it like in store. That's like a brick and mortar store. There's also like online store. Nowadays it's like social media has like e-commerce. So omnichannel is like strategically selling them through all platforms instead of just like one brick and mortar platform.
Yeah.
But basically like I wouldn't have known what that was if it wasn't for that competition. So that was a great way to like really get our heads into the business landscape. That was like a PwC one. We didn't place. Our presentation went horribly. Like I stammered on my lines.
Yeah.
We went blank like with during our presentation. So we didn't get anything out of it. But it was a great like starting point. And then spring semester of my freshman year, we did this like Dick's Sporting Goods competition.
Oh, what?
Yeah, like
They
Dick's
hosted a
Sporting
competition?
Goods was hosting like an analytics competition.
Okay.
Wow.
That was like 3 rounds of like deliverables, and first one was like Excel. So that gave me a lot of like working with numbers and trying to analyze like how to put like a whole like set of data into something that's measurable and presentable. That was a huge learning moment. I remember I was like on that pivot table and I was like trying to figure out how things work. And then second round was like making like a solution, I guess submitting that video. Third round was like Zoom, like actual in time live presentation. And then there was like a additional fourth round, which was like a speed round. They give you like a prompt and you just make a solution right away. But that was like a lot of like again like business knowledge, how like everything works in terms of like finance but also marketing. It just gave me like a really good core knowledge, and working with a team especially, that was like one of the best teammates I've ever had that I've ever worked with. We really did our part, and whenever someone was like lacking in an area, we would be willing to help. So I learned a lot in that sense. And then I think the third one was another PWC that I did sophomore year. But that one didn't go, like we didn't place or anything, but we learned about the hotel industry. Like it was pretty cool. And then that was when we really rolled out this technological solution. Because nowadays people are, working remotely. And so we thought, hey, like what if we make, hotel services more like, digital. So that kind of got my head into like, wow, like a lot of these case competitions, we're recommending like, omnichannel strategy, like digital experience, like these are all tech. And whenever I'm working on these solutions, like I'm getting super excited.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a way of me to get into the tech industry.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like sort of like yeah. And I think I really like that you mentioned that even though you didn't place, you gained so much out of it, right? And it's just big. I think that's also a really big thing about college as a whole. You just have to put yourself out there, get as much experience as you can, even if you don't get like any awards or anything. The experience you'll get of like being in the actual business world or the actual like tech space, the experience is invaluable.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Adi said a very peculiar quote the other day, and it was just do it.
Just do it.
Oh,
Just do it. And
Just
honestly,
do it.
that's
Adi.
so true.
Good one.
Whether it's like an interview you feel you're not qualified to apply for, case competitions where you might not place, just do it.
Just do it.
Send in your application, just participate, get the experience, get what you want out of it. Like the crow case competition that we did.
Yes, that's actually how we got that plant right there. His name's Phoenix.
This?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Got it through crow.
I think he's dying because
he might be dying. I kind of
watering
watered him a lot
because of the succulent.
Yeah, I didn't know
okay.
that, but he'll be fine hopefully.
Anyways, it was a case competition about like whether businesses should employ AI for nefarious uses or protection.
Yeah, it was guardians of integrity or beacons of destruction. It was like those are like the terms they use.
That's like
That's
yeah,
what you
that's
know, right?
use
Yeah.
AI for that, right?
Yeah.
But the amount of information the amount of knowledge we gained just from researching that. I remember me and Bo were roommates, by the way, right? We spent entire night we were up to like 4 or 5 a.m. just researching, like breaking down so much like how AI can be used, and the knowledge we gained has been so cool, right? Like it's just like AI as a whole is such a interesting tool, right? And just seeing the way it can be used to develop businesses and also destroy them was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's like generative AI, phishing.
Yeah, we focused on the beacons of destruction, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that was like so much cooler, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
We got to learn like across all these topics of
Right.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And even though we didn't play, I think
yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is what
That's-
happened. The video duration was 10 minutes. Like a
That was the
hard
max.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
We were at 15.
Oh my gosh.
And so
yes.
We had to
our submission
speed it
video
up
had
and
to
we had to speed it
we had
up,
to
we
speed
had
it by
to lower down the
1.5.
quality.
Speed it up.
And it was bad. It was bad.
You're gonna be sounding
But-
like chipmunks. Like,
Yeah, dude, no, we were like at 1.25 speed and we're like,
yeah.
shoot, this thing is due, and it was due at noon, right? So we were like, oh my god, it's so we're about to like it's like like oh my god, we have to submit this right now. And then we end up submitting like 5 minutes after the deadline, and we send out an email saying, hey, we're really sorry, please
let us-
just
Give us an extension.
Give us an extension, please just let it slide.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did, but
yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't send us
we never got a
we got a
Oh.
unfortunately got in place.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
All good. It was a crazy experience. So
Yeah.
with all these experiences, you develop like so many cool skills, right? How have the skills you've developed helped you land the internship at Warner Bros?
Well, I can't say what was something exactly that got me into Warner Bros, right? But I would say part of it is kind of my motivation to, again, like just doing something, putting myself out there, and that kind of showcased my willingness to learn and my curiosity. I think a big part of internship is they're looking for interns who's ready to like jump into things and being placed in environments where they don't know anything, and they would do whatever they can to like to learn. So I guess that kind of showcased a little bit of that side. And then again, like with the Asian Presidents Council, like leadership, I think goes a really long way. I think it showcased my abilities to start and finish a project, communicate with multiple stakeholders, and bring something into the level of like not just that's great, but like excellent. Like going beyond what is asked for. And so I think a lot of my projects and my skills kind of showed that I'm like a dedicated person who's willing to like put herself out there and learn. And whatever task that I'm given, I will do my very best to like meet the demand, but also like go beyond it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like Bo
that's
said.
not like a direct like answer. I'm
Right,
sorry,
no,
but
that's- yeah. Like Bo's professor said, you gotta show gumption, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to go
Your
above and
heart,
beyond.
yeah.
It's about the heart. Like you could just meet the deliverables, or you can put yourself out there, go even further, and
Mhm.
that's what separates you from everyone else.
Exactly.
Right.
Sure.
Could you speak a little bit about your experience at Warner Bros., the interview process,
Mhm.
and then your time there? It was in Atlanta, correct?
It was in Atlanta, yes. It was really cool. It was the first time there, but I think the interview process was I got like a video interview email. Are you guys familiar with
Yeah,
it?
I hate those.
Yeah,
I don't
it
like
was
it.
so weird. Like it was my first time doing it, so I was like kind of weirded out. But you just film yourself answering a bunch of questions and you submit that
Ugh.
video. It was really weird.
That's- yeah.
Did you have limited takes?
It was 2 takes.
Yeah.
But you could like pause and then like watch the video and then like retake it. Like so that was
Yeah.
like that was really helpful. But so I answered a lot of questions there. And then a few weeks later I got another email from my prospective manager. Well, she said that she wants to speak with me in a Zoom call. So we did that. Funniest thing though, like I emailed her going like, hey, like, is there anything that I should expect or any questions that I should prepare for? And she gave me like 2 questions. Oh, like, these are the type of questions that you would be getting. And I was like, cool. Those were the exact same questions I got in my
Wow.
interview.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I guess she just gave me the answers right away.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was prepared, thanks to her. And to be honest, like I did the best I could. Like I showcased that I researched the company, the industry, and back then, entertainment industry was my target goal, and that was what I was going for. So I already had a lot of knowledge in that space and try to dedicate my passion in that. And then I guess I was very lucky. I think part of it's just luck. I got the offer. I said yes. And so, yeah, like I flew out to Atlanta and my position was product management and strategy operations intern. It was a very broad role, but basically I worked in like an app that was like a streaming service for like driving, like when you're in a car. And I would be in like stand-up meetings with the developers, data, designers, all those people on like the updates of the app. I would be like testing the app and then making tickets to send to the engineers, researching the business, I guess like competitive analysis in a way, and then also manage their social media. So it was a very like holistic, big picture kind of experience that got me around the product. But I think it was a great learning moment for me and get my head into the tech space. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. So also that's really cool. What around when did you end up getting the internship for Warner Bros?
Yeah. I was mass applying to all these places, so
Right,
I don't
yeah.
remember the exact like timeline, but I think I heard back for the video interview around like February,
Okay.
and then around March, that's when I got an email for like, oh no, March was when I got the email for video interviews, and then around like late March or early April was when I interviewed in person or for Zoom, and then I got an offer like 2 or 3 weeks later. So I think like mid-April, end of April was when I got the offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Very
there's-
last minute.
There's
a
still
chance.
hope. But
Yeah. So the reason I asked that is because none of us have internships at the moment, and
Uh-huh.
it sort of gets kind of stressful, right? Because now we're in the
Yeah.
second part of the year, and it's like, oh my god, we have to lock
It's
in.
coming.
It's
especially
coming,
in the
it's
tech
coming up.
industry.
Right,
Yeah.
and the way it is right now. So I
Mhm.
guess sort of like as a final piece of advice, what piece of advice would you give to people that are in our position right now? Right, they're looking for internships. They need
Mhm.
they need to find something, and it's also like the timeline's getting very shorter and closer and closer. What would you give as sort of like a final piece of advice?
That's a hard question.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
put
no,
hold.
you're good. I would say, so like advice as in like how to land an internship or
Yeah.
just how to like navigate the career
Both,
in
either.
general?
Land. I would say more towards land.
Okay.
Landing, I would say I think your resume plays a big role. Get as much feedback as you can, and I would say like compared to like other people, not in the way of like, oh, is your resume better, but like how did you structure a resume? How does what does your resume tell you better than what I have? And I think really when you look at your resume, every single part of the words like should be fighting for their spot on the paper. So I would say like when you read like a statement, like ask yourself like, can I make this like even better? Like okay, I can make it better. So I would like make a new draft. I'm like, can I make this even better?
Right.
And just keep going. And then quantify the heck out of your resume.
Got it.
Right. And that's like even with like case competitions, like you can talk about like how big the competition was, or how if you place how many out of how many teams, or again like social media like analytics and the metrics too. But that goes on to say the nature of your resume is how much you reflect on your impact. So whatever you do, really think about like really sell yourself and really like think big about yourself. Don't just say like, oh, like I'm part of Asian President's Council and we do these things. No, it's like it's a lot more than that.
Right.
You're impacting how many people. You're putting on these, workshops or shows that are for how many people, or like this big. Like really just sell yourself and really be, really believe in your abilities, and don't think any less of the things that you're doing right now. And so your resume should be like really, really selling you.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Well, I think that
was the
a
first
wrap. That was
episode.
the end of the first episode.
Season 1. Startup.
Yeah.
This has been Aggies Talk Tech, and next
Thank you so
episode
much.
we'll bring on David Alexander, which is
Yes.
Chief Marketing Officer
at
for
Everbridge.
Everbridge.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so
guys
much,
so
Hannah.
much. Thank you, Hannah. We will link your socials at the bottom of the video.
Yeah.
thank you for
Like
being
and
here.
follow.
Like and subscribe, guys. Yeah. And I think that's a wrap.
All right. See y'all later.
Thank you
See you guys. Bye.